step number one is planning. You can't really, well, you can, but you're gonna have a hard time. But you shouldn't really sit down at your computer and say, well, I'm gonna write a blog post now, and you have no idea what the topic is, or even more importantly, what is the pain point, the emotional state that you're playing towards in that blog post. So how I like to put this for my clients or for just people I talk with is, you have to kind of place them yourself in your audience's shoes. And what I mean by that is understanding what part of the process of their buying process they are right now. So for example, if you're a B2B company and you are selling a bookkeeping software, and this can be, obviously it can vary in like price ranges and whatever else, you can target small businesses with it, you can target enterprises with it, but what's most important is you should know at the time when someone comes across you, what stage of awareness or what stage of familiarity with your product they are. Not just your product, but just your overall offering. So if you're offering a bookkeeping software, do they know what goes into a bookkeeping process? Do they know what it takes? Do they know how long it's going to take them? Do they know if they need to hire a person? There's all of these different questions they can ask themselves, and it tells you what part of a purchase process they are in. So this will obviously vary based on your specific industry or even your specific offering. You can have multiple of these, but most of them are going to fall into the three, which are awareness, consideration, and like the time when they're deciding about a purchase. So awareness, consideration, and decision. And in the awareness stage, they're probably not going to know about anything about their problem. They're going to know they have a problem, but they won't know what specifically they need to do in order to solve it. So they need to learn and educate themselves. So and obviously with decision process, with consideration process, they're gonna know there are options out there, but they're not gonna know enough about them. And then in the decision process, they're gonna want to know about things like features and price and all of these very purchase ready pieces of information. So once you look at these three kind of big overarching places where you can fit each member of your audience, of your ideal audience, then you can go ahead and map questions that they are going to be asking themselves. And once you know them, you can actually go ahead and map the content based on that. So you're not just coming, there are so many businesses who come out and say, we want to do content. Let's write about 5 myths about whatever, or 5 tips to do X. And it's very vague because it doesn't play into what's really, truly bothering that person. And that's something that I've made my career mission to understand about the audience that I'm targeting, because I'm sometimes writing for salespeople, sometimes I'm writing for their managers, sometimes I'm writing for business owners who want a mobile app created. It's very, very different what they're going to come across and as their issues. So once you know that they have very different questions throughout that process, you're going to want to go ahead and for each of the pieces of content that you believe fits into answering that question, you're going to want to define something that's called what's in it for me, or WIIFM. And that basically means, why would anyone bother reading this? It's not a matter of just showing up and being like, hey, here's my piece of content, I hope you read it. It's going to be, well, this is actually going to be career-changing, life-changing. It's going to really transform a part of your day while you're in work, or something, the way you do something. So that's kind of how I approach this. And when you do this, you're actually going to think about the pain points that you're trying to solve. And this will in turn drive your call to action in the blog post and also your goals for it. So what are you going to actually measure? Is it going to be email signups? Is it going to be, traffic, shares, whatever else you're trying to actually achieve with the blog post? And by doing that, you can kind of, with that in mind, you can go ahead and go into Google and just search through what's already there about that question. And you can see if there are gaps. You can see if there are, if people are not actually replying or answering the question that your audience has, and you have the room there to kind of build upon what's missing. So this is really, really important to just understand that pain point, and based on your awareness, consideration, decision, to go ahead and map pieces of content or just overall topics that you're going to cover, from which then you're going to build the WIIFM. I think without that, you shouldn't move on to the next stages. And once you do that, you can actually go ahead and start with the next ones that we're going to cover.